Hello everybody, just a quick news flash, the 7D Mark II, along with 3 new Canon lenses, have been leaked. Alright, so if you haven't already heard the news yet, the EOS 7D Mark II, the specs of the EOS 7D Mark II, along with 3 new Canon EF lenses, have been leaked online. Now my sources are canonrumors.com and cameraegg.com. Now these two sites are pretty well known for their sometimes accurate rumors. Now this time around it seems to be pretty promising. Photokina is just around the corner, so we can probably expect these leaked items to be announced during Photokina. So one of the most exciting things is the 7D Mark II, because the 7D is probably Canon's best APS-C censored camera. Now it is Canon's best camera in the APS-C line. So the Canon EOS 7D Mark II is a upgrade that's really being looked forward to by pretty much all Canon shooters. Now, the 7D was an awesome camera, but then it has been quite a while, so the EOS 7D is a pretty old camera by now. It's one of the most speculated cameras to be replaced by Canon in these few years. So now it seems that the 7D Mark II is finally here. So it has been very anticipated. Now, according to the specs list posted on cameraegg.com, assuming these specs are correct, the 7D Mark II is going to be a prosumer camera, just like the EOS 7D. It doesn't have like a one big wow factor to the camera. It's just a lot of increased and professional specs. It's basically a EOS 7D pimped up in pretty much every aspect to give better specs. That's the EOS 7D Mark II. Now, I'm not going to go through every single element of the specs here. I'll post the specs list in the description below. I'll post the link to Canon Rumors or cameraegg.com. But basically, it keeps the same magnesium alloy body as the EOS 7D, which we all know is indestructible. It's extremely durable, so it keeps that. It has a new sensor. It's listed as a 20.2 megapixel CMOS sensor, and it has dual pixel CMOS AF, which sounds very familiar. So I'm guessing it's probably the exact same sensor as the EOS 7TD. So I don't think it's going to be a new sensor, disappointingly. The specs list does say that the upper limit of the native ISO range has been bumped up to 1600. Now on the EOS 7TD, the native ISO ends at 12,800. You can expand it to 25,600. But for this, it says it has increased the native ISO sensitivity to 16,000. Now, this is just the value because we haven't really seen the actual sample images yet. So the maximum ISO and the actual low light performance of the camera is probably going to be a different story. Now, Canon probably just did this so we have better specs to look at. However, I'm pretty certain that the actual low light performance of the 7D Mark II is going to be a different story, because I own the EOS 7TD and the EOS 7TD delivers images usable to about 1600, relatively usable. So assuming the EOS 7D Mark II has the same sensor as the EOS 7TD, you can pretty much expect the same low light performance from them. So it's quite disappointing given that there hasn't really been any APS-C size Canon DSLR, which is a killer at low lights yet. So we will have to see though, because no sample images from the 7D Mark II have been leaked yet. It appears to have a new AF system, a 65-point AF system, which sounds really promising. The 5D Mark III only has 61, so it's probably a new AF system. You can see this camera is designed for speed. It has such a sophisticated AF and it has 10 FPS, just 2 FPS above the previous 8 FPS of the EOS 7D. It appears to have full 60p video and two new features they've implemented in the 7D Mark II according to the specs list. Judging by the specs list and assuming it's correct, it finally has an internal intervalometer. So one thing about every single Canon camera in the market is it doesn't have a damn intervalometer built in. Now, a lot of other cameras in the market have this feature, but with Canon, you are pretty much forced to buy an external intervalometer shutter release, which could set you back a few $100. So in my opinion, this is going to be great if you're going to do time-lapse, built-in intervalometer, but of course there's always magic lantern. It does also have a bulb timer now, so I assume it's setting a value for your custom bulb exposure and just leaving it there instead of holding down the shutter button or using a remote trigger. So that is pretty much it about the 7D Mark II. Now there are 3 new lenses leaked along with the 7D Mark II, along with images of the lenses. Now, one of the lenses is the 400mm f4DOIS2USM. Now, this is definitely a lens aimed at the pro market because this lens probably doesn't come cheap. It is a DO lens. DO stands for diffractive optics, and it's some optical engineering stuff that I don't really understand, but basically what diffractive optics does is it gives you a long focal length at a relatively short physical lens size. So it keeps the lens compact while giving you a very long focal length. So it's 400mm, and according to the specs, it is 232.7 millimeters long, which is very short for a 400mm lens, and it only weighs 2.1 kilograms. So we have that. There's also a new 24-105. Now there is already an existing 24-105 f4L lens in the Canon L series lineup. It has been a very famous lens. You can pretty much see that lens everywhere. Now the 24-105 f4L, some people love it, including me. I like it. It's a very versatile lens, but some people hate it. Now, it's not the perfect standard zoom lens, the 24-105. It's mediocre in pretty much every aspect. It's mediocrely sharp, it's mediocrely good. It's f4, which isn't too bright, but isn't too dark either. Now, it does have some issues, the existing 24-105 f4L. It suffers from horrible barrel distortion at 24mm, and it is not the sharpest lens out there. So the new 24-105 appears to be sort of a budget series lens. Now it's a 24-105 f3.5 to 5.6 IS STM. Now despite the lens being built like a EFS lens, it is actually a EF lens, so that means it will fit on full frame bodies, judging by the name EF, no S. And if you look at this leaked picture of the 24-105, I think there is a red dot there. So the red dot index is for the EF mounting index. Now I'm not quite sure because the existing 24-105, which costs under $1,000, is already not perfect. So now they've released a budget version, so I can imagine this budget version is going to be cheaper than the L version, and it's going to be a little less exciting than the L version one, because obviously you can see it's a f3.5 to 5.6. It's a variable aperture, which is not good by any means. So it's designed like an EFS lens, but I don't know what's the point if you put it 3.5 to 5.6, because if you're on a crop body, the 18-135 is also f3.5 to 5.6, and it has better range, it also has IS, and it also has STM. So I'm not quite sure how the 24-105 f5. STM is going to fare, so I'm pretty skeptical about this one, so we will just have to wait and see. Now, last but not least, a new EFS lens, this time a 24mm f2.8 pancake lens. Now, very reminiscent of the 40mm pancake, except the 40mm pancake was for full frame. It's an EF lens. This time, it's an EFS lens. Now, Canon already has a 24mm prime, which isn't very big at all. It's pretty much just the size of a 50mm, also a f2.8. However, this new one is a pancake lens, and it is only 22.8 mm in thickness, and it only weighs 125 grams. So probably a travel lens. Again, we haven't seen any images from any of these lenses yet, so we won't know how they actually perform, but this looks like a pretty fun and promising lens. Again, we will just have to wait and see, because these are all just rumors. So that is pretty much it, just my thoughts on the new leaked Canon items. I'm a person who doesn't really like waiting, so I am pretty hyped up about rumors. So just a quick discussion. Let me know what do you think of these new items in the description below. Will you be getting the 7D Mark II? And what do you think of the 7D Mark II? Is it a camera you'd be getting, or would you go for a 5D Mark III or a 6D, which probably just costs $2,000 or $3,000 more and you will get full frame? However, that is pretty much it for today. Thank you very much for watching. I'll be posting the articles of these rumors down in the description below. Feel free to check them out. Thank you very much for watching again, and I'll see you in the next video.